This is Conversations with Poets. We are once again in the San Diego Public Library, downtown. We're in the Teen Center with Anoushka Majumder. And welcome. So glad that you're here. You're a poet, a philosopher, and you went through the Poetry Out Loud program at Marshall Middle School, is that right? How was that? How was it being in the program? And did you do memorized poems, or did you go straight to original poetry?
So they had a call for poetry about a year ago, and it was under the program, Let Your Voice Be Heard. So I wrote a poem on my experiences during the pandemic, and after they published that, they got in touch with me and they shared so many opportunities for me to present that poem at all sorts of places. So they got in touch with me, and it was just a wonderful experience.
That's the little things, right?
Yes, the little things.
I've watched that video so many times, and you have a maturity in the way that you present, the words, your pacing is just right. Did Poetry Out Loud give you some coaching there?
Yes, actually, I worked with their educational coordinator, Rachel, and she really helped me enunciate, work on my inflection. So all of those different aspects of presenting a poem, she really helped me with that.
The Little Things by Anoushka Majumder. The monotonous chimes of the grandfather clock were finally interrupted by a resonant gong as the hourglass of time gave way to a new year.
Yeah, Rachel's great, and the Poetry Out Loud program is excellent. Now, was that some kind of competition, or how did it?
I think it was just submit for your own pleasure kind of thing.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. And where did it start for you? So, like, you didn't start with Poetry Out Loud. You were already thinking like a poet, thinking like a philosopher.
So it started when I was in 5th grade. My late 5th grade teacher shared an opportunity with my entire class to write. Do some kind of creative writing for this program called AILA, the National Immigration Lawyers Association, something like that. And basically I wrote for that, and it was a competition, and I ended up winning for the city. So after that I realized that I do enjoy poetry, and that there's something about it that just draws me to it.
And the performance part of it speaks to you too,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
You were the lead in Dorothy, what is the name of the play?
Dorothy in Wonderland.
Dorothy in Wonderland, right?
Yeah.
And so you went through a whole process of getting the role, right?
Yeah.
And what is it about performance that speaks to you?
I've just always been comfortable in front of audiences for a while now. I mean, stage fright is a thing, but I would say I haven't experienced too much of it. Yeah.
Stage fright is the thing, right? You get the butterflies and the whole thing. It's
in
always that
stomach.
couple of minutes before you get there and get it rolling, but once you're in it, it feels so good, right? Do you have any kind of meditation or process for kind of pulling the nerves down, or you just have a natural
do some deep breathing. Just some deep breathing, remind myself everything is going to be okay, and this is going to go great, and roll with it.
Confidence, right? That's it. I think a great poet or a successful poet, successful performers, there's the performance part, the process part, like writing, the writing part, right? It's got to come from a place of truth and candor, right? And then getting the words on the page. But then there's also that part of I'm doing this. I'm going to present it, right?
Yes.
And for a lot of people, it's a courageous act to get up to the microphone and to be on stage. You feel very comfortable there. I love that.
I just always remind myself to stay true to myself. Ultimately, that's what it is. Every single time, just stay true to what you believe.
So it feels to me like you were born into this, that is just part of who you are. Do you have any poems or poets who you read, or did you bring anybody today who you'd share?
I did. I brought one poem that I've held very close to my heart for a long time. My grandmother shared it with me, and since then it really resonated with me. So H.W. Longfellow's A Psalm of Life is that special poem.
So Grandma had a little bit of influence,
Grandma
right?
had a little bit of influence.
She brought some poetry. I
she
liked
brought
it.
some writing into my life.
My grandma too. My mom especially. My mom, it was always poems, always literature. And then at one point, like we're Irish, right? But she brought me a Welsh poet named Dylan Thomas, and I just went his collected poems about that big and memorized every poem in the book.
Wow.
Yeah. So grandmas and moms, ooh, here we go, and dads. Will you read the poem for us?
Of course.
All right.
This is A Psalm of Life by H.W. Longfellow. Tell me not, in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow finds us farther than today. Art is long, and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still, like muffled drums, are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb, driven cattle. Be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act, act in the living present, heart within and God overhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait.
Grandma saw much in you that she gave you Longfellow. This is an uplifting
It's
poem.
a beautiful poem, that's why I love it.
Why do you think Grandma gave you this particular poem?
Well, she said it got her through difficult times, and I think there's this positivity, there's this optimistic outlook that this poem brings, that the moment I heard it, I'm like, this is one of those poems that can get you through anything.
Yeah. In your own writing, The Little Things, for example, is very uplifting. You know, even through tough times, yeah, there is suffering, but rise up, right?
That is something I've tried to incorporate in my poems, is look on the bright side. I try to do it in my daily life, and in my poems, I try even harder.
Yeah, you're something of a philosopher in your poems already. Right?
Thank you.
Precocious, ahead of the times. Will you read one of your poems?
Of course. Yes, so the poem I'd like to share today is titled Feelings, a Philosophical Interpretation. I wrote this poem for the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, and it won a Silver Key. It's divided into 3 sections, so as I'm reading it, I can share, this is part 1, this is part 2, part 3, just for organizational purposes. But here we are. Part 1, Snippets of Reality. A riptide that drags you further and further into the core of your being, compressing and confining words that never leaped off your tongue, words that hold more power than they deserve. They are a wave that submerges everything in its path, speaking only to the broken, the bent, seeing nothing but fires and ashes and smoke only receding. When sound emerges from your lips, the glass shatters, not daring to reconstruct itself until true liberation is acquired. A moment of absolute silence, stolen from the chorus of life. You remember to breathe, the sun remembers to shine. What is invisible can be seen. What is forgotten is remembered. What is dismissed is acknowledged. Beauty lingers in the minutiae. Peace is embraced, if only for an instant. And suddenly, the world is infinitely greater than you ever remember it being. Life sweeps away all traces of trepidation, and the corners of your mouth tilt upward. Your eyes sting before tears reveal themselves, burning their way down your cheek, disappearing as they go, only to multiply. You cry when moments you want buried, gone for good, are awakened from their slumber for you to behold. When you stumble, the world falls to its knees, and you are left in the ruins of what was once great. When what was is no more, when fate discards what should have been, light is hardest to find. What do you feel when you drift away on a cloud of exuberance? When your blood boils and then burns everything in sight? When you could have and you didn't, when you should have and you wouldn't, you live what you feel. You feel when you live. Part 2, the act of defining. Feelings are reverberations, echoes, shadows, pieces of tomorrow stolen from today, memories of yesterday reemerging to be relived, forces drawing from a core within. Feelings are utterly intangible, yet perfectly real. Each is whole and incomplete. No artist can sketch a portrait vivid enough for our human eyes. No words can navigate their intricacies. To comprehend them as they are is to see with your eyes closed, to trace your path from your roots to your stem to your branches, to see simultaneously as your feelings pruned your tree, shaping and molding the lenses through which you see. To comprehend feelings is to look in the mirror and see a reflection of both a body and a soul. To comprehend feelings is to witness their creative power. Part 3, false truths and honest fallacies. To feel truly is to know the pain of an open wound, as well as the joy of a drop of sunlight. After all, seemingly different things, when boiled down to their essence, are often one and the same. To feel truly is to realize what purpose sight serves, not to witness the world that dwells outside of us, but to appreciate the universe that lives within. Feelings are the epitome of beauty, the definition of destruction, and a million other paradoxes time alone can reveal. They are gifts, for they give us the ability to look beneath the layers of foliage, straight to the depths of the heart, of our heart, and the hearts of others. They give us perspective, the color in our world. They make us prove to ourselves that we are more than living, breathing bodies. They allow us to live beyond the scope of life, to exist far beyond the concept of existence.
You know, it occurs to me that you come into your own as a poet in and around a time when the whole world had to learn to be resilient. Everything shut down. The world essentially closed. People weren't seeing each other directly, but on the screen. Do you think that period in your life of being separate from everybody in part informs the work that you do?
I think so. I think that time when I had to look to myself for answers is what pushed me to write more, to explore my own perspective, my own beliefs. So yes, I think the pandemic definitely had an impact on me.
And I get the sense that you have a philosophical position towards resilience and towards being uplifting.
Yes.
And in that way, the poems also teach. You think you could ever be a teacher?
I don't know, maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, I've always liked working with other people, especially.
Yeah, professor, get those grants, spend some time doing the writing, and then teach the next generation
Be
of
wonderful.
up-and-coming poets. So what do you think about slam poetry or different types of poetry? Do you generally write just for the page, or do you write to present? And would you ever be interested in doing some kind of competition, like a scored competition like slam poetry?
I haven't done too much writing yet to say too much, but I've done some for competitions. I started off doing for competitions, but then as I started, writing more poems, I found more time to just do it for myself.
Yeah.
So I haven't given those kind of slam poetry too much thought, but I think maybe I might give it a shot someday.
Yeah, it's possible.
Got time, yeah.
Yeah, and the way you perform, the way you present, it seems like you have this natural ability, but it's also
thank you.
important to you,
It
right?
is, it
It's
is.
important to articulate,
Yes.
right? And when you went through the Poetry Out Loud program, did they give you, was it mostly that you were kind of naturally doing it and they were like, wow? Or were there stops and places to grow?
Mostly like where to place emphasis, when to pause, those kind of things. Rachel did encourage me to follow my instincts, just go with the flow, and ultimately that would work out mostly. But little places here and there where the audience may need to catch up, those kind of things she helped me with, for sure.
So what are you working on these days? Are you focused on school?
Yeah, I do train in piano, and I did vocal for a while too, so I've had some experience with performing arts, but now it's mostly my writing. I write short stories from time to time, personal anecdotes, but mostly poetry.
Oh, tell me about the short stories. Like, where do you go in your short stories? Are these fictional? Are they memoir, experience-based?
They're mostly memoir experience-based.
Yeah.
I find that to be the most soothing kind of writing, when I'm taking my own experiences and then kind of embellishing them here and there,
Yeah.
and making it into a story.
Oh, yeah, don't underestimate the embellishment. Yeah, go for it. I say, what's wrong with hyperbole, right?
Yeah,
What's wrong with using all the devices to make a good story? Right? So that first part, excellent writing, which is also being candid, being truthful about your experience,
Honesty, yeah.
and then the confidence to present,
Yes.
and then comes promoting. Are you interested in publishing a book at some point of collected poems or short stories?
I feel like I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I've got a ways to go, but maybe at some point, who knows?
Yeah. Do you think of an audience when you first start writing, or are you sitting and writing for just you against you?
It's just me against me.
Yeah.
Poetry has always been this journey of self-discovery, self-exploration, just understanding myself. And so that's what I think of when I write, and then sharing with audience is something I love, but it's not the first thing on my mind.
Yeah, it comes later.
It comes later,
right?
it's like a follow-up
Because
thing.
there's a lot of you can get to those honest and true and real stories if you're not too worried about an audience, right? And considering audience would be what you're going to present. What do I put in the book, right? What am I going to present on stage? Yeah. So anything else with Poetry Out Loud, or any more videos coming up?
Well, I did submit for this year Let Your Voice Be Heard program. The topic was my community, so I submitted for that. And,
How does Let Your Voice work? You send in a clip?
Yeah, you just send in a poem you wrote, and then they consider it and they publish them.
Gotcha.
And sometimes they select a handful for some outside program.
Oh, so they start with the text. So
Yeah,
they see
they
your
start with
text
text,
first,
yeah.
and then you do a video performance of the poem.
So last year I sent a video performance in as well. This year I didn't get around to doing that. But
Yeah. Oh, so it can be both.
Yeah, it can
right,
be
I gotcha.
both at
And
once.
this poem, you said it was about community?
Yes, it's
Your
about
community
community.
specifically? So,
I kind of went down the path of generalized community, basically how one's community impacts that individual, how we are the product of all of those who have given us their time, their support, their energy, how those different factors affect us in the long run.
all poets, great poets, successful poets, they had a team, because poets are needy. They're needy people.
I can say that of myself.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have a supportive team, right? The moms, the dads, later on
Little
the
sisters.
partners, little sisters, right? Someone who, like, for the 100th time said, "Here's you go. Hey, well, you want to listen to my poem?"
Yes, of
And they go,
course.
yes.
Oh, I know that one.
Right.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. What's middle school like nowadays, being a poet and a philosopher?
Well, middle school is still middle school. Hasn't turned into Philosophy Central yet. But
You guys aren't sitting around talking about all this stuff? No?
yeah, so I mean, I'm wrapping up 8th grade, so things are taking a new direction. I think that poetry has really helped me stay grounded. The transition phase is one that brings a lot of uncertainty with it, and I think
Yeah.
poetry has helped me find my direction. in
Your
that
transition
sense.
phase will be to high school.
Yes, that's where I'm off to
High
next.
school, yeah. I remember high school. And poetry did help me through that. Yeah. I remember just kind of having moments of solitude, just sitting with a good book. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
of course.
remembering and feeling what that author had expressed, and it making me feel good inside no matter what was going on,
Oh, yeah.
That wild and weird society of high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think in high school, if there's a crew or a club or a group of writers,
Yeah, I
you'll
would
seek
love
that
to.
out?
I definitely want to further my interest in high school, whether that be more competitions or just writing more poems, sharing them with the community. But yeah, in high school, I do want to expand my work, basically.
Yeah, and you've got it all. You've got the foundation. You've got theater, right?
Yeah,
You've
little bit here
got
and
the
there.
performance part. You've been successful. You've won awards. Good on you.
Thank you.
It has really been an
Thank you.
honor to interview you, Anoushka.
Thank you
and
so
it's nice to be
much.
here in the Teen Center.
Yes,
This place is really funny because when you walk in, there's a big surfboard up there, and it says "Keep,
Keep
out."
out.
Right. It's very welcoming,
It's very welcoming.
But yeah, we're in a beautiful place, and
Yes.
I'm so glad I met you. And thanks to Poetry Out Loud,
I'm
Rachel
really
Van
grateful for the
Wormer.
opportunity. Thank you so much, Michael.
You are welcome. You are welcome.